We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of.
Like DHS or the Pentagon?
What you probably don't know, there's already a migrant center there. It's been there for decades. So we're just going to expand upon the existing migrant center. We fly them to Guantanamo. Coast Guard, they encounter people in maritime, they can take them straight to Guantanamo Bay. The worst of the worst, the significant public safety threats, we can fly them.
We're doing it. We're already doing it.
Under the Trump administration, we're moving with urgency and speed to get these vicious and violent criminals the hell out of our country and to restore law and order to our suburbs, our cities, and our towns. And we're going to do it with Tom and with Christy and with all of the people that are working so hard on this. This week, compared to a comparable time a year ago, think of this, the number of illegal border crossers has already fallen by more than 100%. And because the election was coming, they started getting a little bit tougher on the border. They tried to follow our policies, and they did much better, but it still was horrible. The numbers were still horrible, so that's 100% over those. They only did it because of the election, so they knew what they were doing was wrong. And those who do cross the border, and you're seeing that every time, all you have to do is turn on your television set or pick up a newspaper, read any form of new media, because we have a lot of new media today, fortunately, that's letting the word get out. But they're watching these people be captured and removed from our country. ICE arrests have risen by 15 times in just a short period. And over the past 8 days, the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol, we can never forget Border Patrol. Those people, I've gotten to know so many of them. Our border czar, as you remember, never went to the border and never made a phone call. She was the border czar. She never made one phone call. They went to the heads of border. They went to the heads of ICE. Did you ever get a call? No. And she admitted she never made one call, but she was the border czar. And that's exactly what our border was all about. The heroes of ICE have arrested thousands and thousands of illegal alien criminals, including hundreds of gang members, traffickers, child predators, terrorists, and murderers. For the first time in history, we're loading dangerous and illegal aliens into military aircraft and flying them back to the places from which they came. You probably read about Colombia 2 days ago. They said, no, we're not taking them. I said, we're going to take them. You're going to take them. You're going to like it, too. You're going to take them. They talked about, we're not going to take people that are in shackles. I said, well, but the people that are in shackles are murderers, they're drug lords, they're rapists, they're very tough people. They make our criminals look like very nice people. That's about the only thing that comes out of this. And I say, could you imagine you're a pilot on the plane and you have your co-pilot and you're sitting there and you have 150 people, no shackles, and they like to murder people? This would not be a good flight. So Colombia apologized to us profusely within an hour based on something I said, meaning you're going to pay tariffs like nobody's ever paid tariffs before. But they actually wanted to terminate his position. They're essentially Congress met, and they were very angry with them. But they actually said they were going to send the presidential plane to pick up these criminals and to bring them because they didn't want to inconvenience us or have us do a second flight, and that's what they did. And I appreciate it, and I do appreciate the people of Colombia are wonderful people, and the representatives really acted well, and I appreciated they took back that tough talk. But, we may have tough talk from others, but it's not going to mean anything. They're going to all take them back, and they're going to like it, too. They're going to like it. They're going to take it back, and they're going to like it. Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of.
You are both the top immigration advisors to President Trump, in addition to Stephen Miller. He just announced that he's signing an executive order to put 30,000 detention beds at Guantanamo Bay. I know, Mr. Homan, you've talked about needing more beds, but how exactly would that work, and when do you expect it to open?
You know, that is something that the White House is working on, to use resources that we currently have there at Guantanamo Bay. So we'll go through the process. The worst of the worst is where that could be utilized. So that potential is there. We know we need the infrastructure. We're going after these guys.
But who would run that? DHS? DHS or the Pentagon?
What you probably don't know, there's already a migrant center there. It's been there for decades. So we're just going to expand upon the existing migrant center.
How would logistics work for that? How would you get migrants down to Guantanamo?
We fly them to Guantanamo. Coast Guard, they encounter people in maritime, they can take them straight to Guantanamo Bay. The worst of the worst, the significant public safety threats, we can fly them.
We're doing it. We're already doing it.
Would that be more expensive?
We're building it out and using more resources.
What is the worst? Mr. Homan, what kind of civilian oversight would there be?
Civilian oversight?
Yeah.
The current civilian oversight that we have in our federal government today. We had an election in November that clearly said the American people don't want these criminals and dangerous individuals on our streets anymore. We're taking care of it at the
Secretary, what's your message for Polish Americans who voted for President Trump and may have neighbors or family members who are undocumented, who are illegally here?
Listen, the law applies to everybody. It applies to American citizens. It applies to people who come into this country illegally. You will be held accountable for breaking our laws.
First of all, your question earlier, ICE.
Go ahead, Mr. Homan.
ICE has the highest detention standards in the industry. You can't find another state, federal, local facility that has higher detention standards than ICE. So every facility, including Gitmo, will have the highest.
So ICE would be running it. That's actually really helpful. So ICE would be running and would be staffing that.
That's our migrant center run out of Miami.
Mr. Homan, isn't it
You
ICE's?
all are spending your time today covering Laken Riley and her family and this bill and the tools that it's going to give to make sure that families don't have to go through that again.
Well, on his
Mr.
slide,
Homan,
you were informed
We're covering that.
On the
One question that we'd like to ask is if you have a sense of how much money it will cost, how much money will be invested in this
bill or the facility?
in the facility at Guantanamo Bay that the
We're working
president
on that
announced.
with reconciliation and appropriators in the House.
Are you
But you can see the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide. If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table, because it's not okay to violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country legally, you got a problem. And how many MS-13 members are the age of 14 to 17? Many of them. So look, if it's a national security threat, public safety threat, and what you need to understand is a case by case. Name another agency, another law enforcement agency that has those type of requirements that they can't walk into a school or a doctor's office or on a medical campus. No other agencies held to those standards. These are well-trained officers with a lot of discretion, and when it comes to the sensitive location, there's still going to be supervisory review. So it's not like it's an open issue, but ICE officers should have discretion to decide if a national security threat or a public safety threat in one of these facilities, then there should be an option for them to make the arrest. So yeah, we're going to need more ICE beds, a minimum of 100,000. Congress needs to come to the table quick and give us the money we need to secure that.